Hey, welcome back to another episode of the She's Making an Impact podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Ngom. Today, we're talking all about habit hacking with Hayley Hobson. So, if I were to think of Hayley in one word, it would be powerhouse. Truly, she's a certified health and life coach, has crushed it in the network marketing space at like the super top of doTERRA, has her own online business that is just incredible. And one of the things that she is just brilliant at is teaching you how you can create habits, new habits, and stack habits. And so I'm like, we're diving into that deep in this episode to really help, because I truly believe like your success, it's just it's like applying the consistent fundamentals day after day, and it really comes down to your habits. And so we're going to talk about what she does, some of her nighttime routine, her morning routine, some of the things that really help her become that powerhouse. So we're going to dive on in. Hey Hayley, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you?
I'm amazing. Let's dive in and talk to us a little bit about who you are, what you do.
Yeah, so I like to call myself an online holistic entrepreneur. So I started my career as a corporate bankruptcy attorney, believe it or not, and realized about 3 or 4 years in that career was not for me. Like being in corporate, being in a suit at that time, I don't know if this is going to age me, but people were actually wearing pantyhose. And I was like, no, this is not for me. I'm like driving to work at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm not getting back until 7, 8 o'clock at night. Like I can't even like have a plant that lives in my house, let alone a dog or a child. Like this life isn't going to work for me. So I was heavily obsessed with the sport of triathlon at the time. And I grew up as a swimmer and then became a runner. And so I got into triathlon. And then because of triathlon, I got into yoga and Pilates as a way to even out, let's call it, my body. Like I had like lots of like overuse injuries. So I decided to step away from the career of law and become a Pilates teacher. This was in the year 2000. So quite some time ago. This is before Pilates was actually like a thing in the US, and yoga. And I really got sucked in. I was living in LA at the time. I really got sucked into this holistic lifestyle. Like I want to call myself like an OG in the arena. There were Whole Foods, not the brand Whole Foods, but Whole Foods, like grocery stores and local shops that when I would walk in, I'm like, where's the food? Because I was so used to things like, already done for you versus like where you had to sprout your own grains and, juice your own juices. But I got really involved in it and loved it. And I think I was drawn to that space because I had grown up with a lot of digestive issues. I like to call it like digestive disorders. My intestines are on the wrong side of my body. They're all scrambled up. And so I went through life really feeling like I had a stomach ache for 40 years. Oh. And because of that, I also, if you know anything about your gut health, it's very intricately related to your immune health, mm-hmm. and also your brain health, which is your mental health. And I didn't know this back then, but now I understand why I was always sick, mm-hmm. and why I was dealing with depression and why I was dealing with anxiety all through my 20s and even into my early 30s. As I got into this holistic space, I realized that I was in control of how I could feel. And so I got very interested in a vegan diet. I never ate red meat in my life or dairy, but I got off of as if it's a drug. But I stopped eating fish. I stopped eating any animal products. I stopped eating chicken, white meat, and I got into a 100% plant-based diet. And then I got into juicing, and then I got into essential oils, and then I started really going after like hacking one habit after the other. And I made it a career. Mm-hmm. I stepped off the mat, so to speak, in terms of teaching. And I created an entire online business in the holistic space. So I have an essential oil business, one of the largest, biggest essential oils companies in the world, which is doTERRA Essential Oils. I'm one of their top distributors. And around that, I've created a space to teach other women or other creative professionals how to build a similar business in the online space, and even private communities where I'm working with people to hack their habits, their productivity habits, and they're making progress in getting shit done. It's like what I call it. I have a book I wrote called Get Shit Done.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. So you talked habit hacking. I love this term. Can you explain what habit hacking is and where we can start with that?
Yeah, habit hacking, like I like to think of habits as like little simple strategies that you are implementing in your life and business. So one strategy is you wake up in the morning, you brush your teeth, right? So that you have oral hygiene, right? Like you can stack habits on top of each other. So maybe like your, simple ones that people would know, and I don't really talk about these because they're so obvious, but like, brushing your teeth, flossing your teeth, using mouthwash. But then there's other habits that, like, I like to have a little cacao in my diet daily. And so I will either make my own cacao latte, or I'll go to a place. I live in Southern California here, so it's really easy to get really good food and beverages.
Oh yeah.
I want nutrition in my body that's actually like helping my body process and my hormones activate and my sleep be better. And so things like cacao is like a natural adaptogen that's calming and helping your body adapt to stress. And what we hear from people, what I'm getting to is people are like, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. But these are strategies that are helping you live a better life. And so, for instance, one of my strategies, one of my habits is doing a meditation practice in the morning. And so this is something I never thought, even though I was a yoga teacher, I never thought I could do. I could not like zone in and like to myself and stop the chatter in my head. And I recently bought a device, I think about a little over 2 years ago. It's called Brain Tap. And it's
yeah. How do you like that? I've done the meditations with the app, but I don't have the actual device.
Oh, the device is everything. Like I know that they have the app, but I don't honestly know how that would work for me without the device, because the device is, you've got isochronic tones that are going into your ears at different times. And you also have light therapy. There's a visor, so you have light therapy coming into your brain. And I think that's the process that makes their meditation app work so well. It's an investment. It's several $100s. I found it a couple of years ago. I was at my acupuncturist, and I was at another stage. It happens to the best of us, where I was in a fight or flight mode. And I came in for some treatments, and he was like, dude, like, oh my gosh, I want you to take this home and I want you to use it 3 times a day.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't have time to meditate 30 minutes a day, And so, but I did, I made time in the morning when I woke up, and I made time in the evening, and I created a habit of, I am not going to look at my phone except to turn on the device until I do the meditation.
Okay.
And it's, for the last 2 years now, plus it's been a habit every morning in my routine. And sometimes it's a 10-minute simple meditation. Sometimes it's 12, sometimes it's 15, sometimes it's 20. I usually don't do more than 20 in the morning.
Yeah.
Unless I'm like on a plane. Sometimes I'll bring the app with me, and I'm like, oh, I have the luxury of sitting here for 30 minutes and doing a meditation. But I will not start my day without it. And it helps my brain go next level. Like, I was into my massage therapist, my body worker, last week, and he said to me, your body is in like an amazing alignment right now. What's going on? And I was like, I'm just doing all the things, right? Like, I get colonics, and I wish I could get a colonic every single week, but I get colonics probably twice a month. And I'm doing my meditation, and I work out daily, and I use my essential oils, and I have my whole routine that I do. And he said, we started talking about the light therapy that's in the device, because he has a business where he's got light therapy classes, and you can tap in and have these insane devices over your head for like 45 minutes. And I was like, it's not as great as yours, but it's awesome. And he's like, you have no idea. I mean, the fact that you're putting that into your brain every day for the last 2 years, it's making a difference. It's bringing your entire being into a different space of alignment and energy, which then has an impact on, simple things like you'd understand, like your digestion or how you're sleeping or your moods, but it's also how you're interacting with yourself and the world and how productive you are. So if you're like me and you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to up level your business, or maybe it's a relationship with your spouse or your child or your mother, if you're not in personal integrity and alignment, that's not even possible for you. And you're at what we call like stagnant energy, or people use the word stuck. And sometimes it has nothing to do with the next best strategy that somebody's teaching you in marketing, but it's like, how am I showing up? How am I being? How is my brain processing? How is my gut processing? So I am like 1,000% committed to these habits. This is my house in California that I'm in right now. And I live here in the summers, and I live here on all of the long weekends and spring breaks and things like that. And I'm here because I had an event last week. Shanna did her, her event. So I stayed for another couple of days, and, I have a protocol. Like I land, and then it's like juice bars on my way home. You know what I mean? I have a protocol where I order food ahead of time. It's sitting in my fridge. Like it's all done. I don't have to think about it. It's all whole ingredients. It's superfoods. It's all the things. And these are habits. These are habits that I build into my daily routine. And habits can also be business habits, right? Like we have a habit in my business that after I do a masterclass, webinar, something, we debrief. We debrief as a team, like what went wrong? Everything.
All the things wrong.
So today, even I was on Voxer with my team. I was like, you guys, I forgot, I did this like last minute offer yesterday, like just a surprise offer. I wasn't planning on making it, but it just felt right. I could tell the energy. It's what they wanted. And we didn't have a landing page for it. So we didn't have a slide even in the presentation. And I was like, all right, even though it's over, we get to put that slide in the presentation because I may want to offer it next time. And that's going to happen in like 6 months. So we have habits that we do in our personal life. You have habits that you do with your family. You've got habits that you do in your business, and they are simple strategies that take you next level.
Yeah. So I love making this show really actionable for our audience. So let's start with the morning routine of just like some habits that we can incorporate. We talked about not really looking at your phone and doing a meditation first thing. What other things do you do in the morning specifically that we could do to set ourselves up for success?
Okay. So first thing is, I'm going to be fully transparent. I'm not a person who doesn't look at my phone. I know that there are people who do that, and I guess I could be more disciplined and not do it, but I actually like to look at my phone. So I give myself a timeline. So let's just hypothetically say, like, I don't set an alarm. One of my habits, let's back up. Let's go to the evening.
Yeah. Because a good morning routine starts in the evening.
Actually starts at night.
Yep.
So what I do, unless I have plans like socially, is I have a wind down routine, and it starts at 5:00. Yeah. So I tend to not put meetings on my calendar after like 3. And sometimes there are exceptions to every rule, right? You're traveling. I was at an event Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So it sucked out 2 of my work days. So maybe I have a longer day the next day. But I really don't like to work past 3. And it doesn't mean that I'm like working from 10 to 3, like I start at 7. So my work day is still 8 hours. It's just that I go from 10 to 7. So I can wind down. I can start to connect with family at 3 or 4 o'clock. I can do activities with my daughter. I can, get on Clubhouse and interact with my online friends there. I can scroll through social media myself. If I'm going somewhere, I can pack. I can, whatever is lighting me up. I can listen to that podcast episode that's been on my calendar. But so that starts then. Then I want to start thinking about my last meal. And I am a person who likes to eat early. So I actually have dinner plans tonight. And you may know our friend, Julie Surratt. She's like, what time
I'll tell her I say hi. I love Julie.
Her and our friend Ngom tonight. And, they're like, what time do you get together? I'm like, as early as possible. So we're meeting at 5:00 for dinner. And so I want to do that at home too, sometime between 5 and 6 o'clock. I want to get that last meal in my body, because your body needs a long time to process food.
Yep.
And if you are eating but up until the minute you go to bed, I can promise you that your sleep is off.
And
if sleep is off, your hormones are off.
For sure.
I have this Aura ring. A lot of people have started to use it.
Twinsies.
I will notice, like if I eat at 8, this is what my,
Absolutely. Yep.
and I go like this with my fingers for all of you guys who I'm bringing my finger up and down if you're just listening to the podcast, but it means that I'm waking up
Yeah.
8 times during the night. I may not even know I woke up half of the
Yeah.
time, but I'm waking up because my body is in its process of digesting.
Yeah.
So I really suggest that you eat as early as possible and you give yourself several hours before you go to bed, at least 3 or 4 hours before you go to bed, without putting anything in your mouth.
So that's habit number one. That's a great one that we can start with. I know when we lived in France and Senegal, I had such a hard time because they'd eat dinners at like 8:30. And I'm like, no, like here in America, I eat at 4:15 with my daughter. And I'm like, let me eat as early as I can so that I can have that break and then I can sleep like a champion. So eat early, then what?
Eat early. So then what you want to do is after dinner, you want to start your what I call bedtime routine. So for me, I fill up my diffuser, I fill up my humidifier. I actually get into my pajamas like early. Like sometimes I get into my pajamas at like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the evening. I'm just getting comfy. And there's just a difference, even though I'm comfy right now, like I'm literally like in total, cash clothes. There's a difference to like, when you take off your bra. Or you have like the underwear that you like to sleep in that's not a thong up your ass. Right?
Yep. Oh yeah.
And so, I get into something that's winding down. And then I like to get in bed at like 7:30. And it doesn't mean I'm going to bed then, but that's when I might I might scroll through social. I might watch a Netflix episode. And I'm not one of those people that's like, get off your phone or don't pick up your phone in the morning. I just train my brain to get into wind down mode.
Mm-hmm.
I say goodnight to my family. I actually will get out of bed at like 8 or 8:30 and then go give them a good night. And I aim to go to sleep at 8:30.
Mm-hmm.
It usually doesn't happen, but that's what I aim at. And I usually am literally closing my eyes at 8:45 or 9. So I never set an alarm because I know that if I sleep well, let's say I go to bed at 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I know for sure I'll be up by 6. That's 9 hours. I want to sleep 8. So I give myself 9. Okay. So this is another habit, like give yourself an extra hour that you want to sleep, because if you wake up a few times during the night and your body needs 8 hours, it will probably need about 8 hours and 45 minutes to be in bed.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I like to go to bed at 8:30, because I know I'm going to be up for sure between 5 and 5:30.
Yep.
So set your wake up routine on when you go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a person who only sleeps 7 hours, no matter what, put yourself to bed 8 hours before that.
Got it.
Or 2. So then you have that good night's sleep. I sleep, this last night I only slept 7 hours and 3 minutes, but it was great sleep. And then my morning habit starts with me getting up early. Like I like to get up early. Like this morning, I actually woke up at 4:15 and I was like, do I want to get out of bed yet? Like I'm super tempted to start my day that early.
Right.
But I feel like I had a ton of like really pressing things on my calendar. So I'm like, I'm gonna sleep for a little bit longer. And so I slept until 5 and then I got up, and I like habit number 3, give yourself time to have your morning routine. So if I wake up at 5, my first, let's call it, appointment is usually not until, probably the earliest, like 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. And I'm not saying that I need to have like 5 hours to myself, but when you count in the amount of time, so I wash my face, I have a skincare routine. It only takes 5 minutes. I do my meditation. Let's say it's 15 minutes. I scroll. Let's say it's 20 minutes. I clean up a little bit. Sometimes, I'll do my hair because I love to be on social media. So like, I don't like, I have a little, toner on in my face or a little extra curl in my hair. And then I take my daughter to the bus stop. So that's 30 minutes. By the time we walk out the door, I take her, maybe I grab a coffee, come back, I go for a workout. So I got to drive there. That's 15 minutes. I take the class. That's 45 or 50. I drive home. I take a shower. So that's why it can take 3-4 hours for me to want to be on with other people. So give yourself, and I'm assuming I'm talking to entrepreneurs, like if you're working for somebody else, you might have to show up differently, But I said, you're like, Hayley, you said your business runs from 7 to 3. What do you mean you're only starting at 9 or 10? Well, I am in my business at 7-ish because I did check my messages. I did relay anything that I needed to my team. I might have thrown up a couple stories on Instagram, which is my favorite platform of choice right now until I get like sucked in by you to Pinterest. And you know, I go through my Asana task board. So getting prepared, like what is happening today? I go through my calendar, what is happening today, so that when I walk in the door, like this morning, I took a class from 8 to 8:45, was home here by 9. By the time I walk in the door, I'm ready to go. And like, I'm ready to go because I've prepared myself, and then I can get super focused from 10 to 3, 11, 12, 1, 2. So 5 hours of like quality, like deep dive work. Whereas the beginning was sort of like managing my mind, managing my emotional space, managing my emotions, and managing my team.
And I think those are honestly the most important parts of like being an entrepreneur, is being able to manage your mind, your emotions, your team. So like if you have what you just talked about, the nighttime routine that leads to the morning routine, and you do those things effectively day in and day out, you're going to see more success. You're going to see more results, without even talking about like business habits.
Right. I will say, as far as like, you know, business sort of personal habits, know what time you're most productive.
Yeah.
I know that I show up the best for other people between like 10 and 2 or 10 and 3. And that's why I don't schedule meetings at 6 a.m., but I like to be with myself at 6 a.m.
For sure.
Right. And the other thing is like, no, it's so funny because I was actually trying to do my Spanish app last night, and it was like 8:45 or something. And I'm like, I want to get through this. I need to move up on the leaderboard. And I was making mistakes, like stupid, simple mistakes that I knew. And I was like, this is because, Hayley, your brain doesn't work at this hour.
Totally.
So that's really good to know. Like, when are you most productive?
Yeah.
I am most productive, like getting organized super early in the morning. I wake up, my brain is fresh.
Yep.
So from like 6 to 8 o'clock is like my focus time.
Yep.
And then my workout time, I get my body going, and then I'm like ready to present and be in other people's space. One of the things I want to mention about productivity is if you are showing up like as something's happening, like let's just hypothetically say you've got to be somewhere at 8 and you're waking up at 7:30, you are going to be on the defense all day long. You are going to, there's no way that you can be ready for other people's energy without spending time with yourself first.
Yep.
Without reviewing what, like you can't be prepared. You can't get out of bed and be prepared for your day and in front of somebody else in a half an hour. There's just no way.
Yeah.
So you want to operate on the offense, put some padding in the beginning of your day. Start waking up 15 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
And then start waking up 30 minutes earlier and just see what that does. And then start waking up 45 minutes earlier. And the way to do that is to go to bed 15 minutes earlier.
Yep.
And go to bed 30 minutes earlier. I used to be a person who woke up at like, 6:45, 7. And then I just like started backing it up. And now if I don't wake up at like 5:15, I'm like, oh my God, I'm late.
Yes. No, I'm like the same schedule, exactly the same. What's one of the best books you've read?
I am a fiction reader.
Okay.
So I don't know if you're looking for like a, like a leadership book or spiritual book, or I am reading a really good book right now on parenting, and it's called Parenting Your Teenage Girl. And it's so good for those of you who have adolescents. Their brains are like in this massive transition between like 6th grade and 9th grade. It's why they call it middle school.
Yeah.
And it was the worst period of my life, middle school, the worst. Like, I feel like my whole personality formed, and it took me like decades to recover from middle school. And now I get it. I can be a different parent now that I understand it, especially with the way that the world is right now with technology and all of the social influence. But I am a fiction reader. So when I'm like decompressing, when I'm in bed at night, when I'm on a plane, or, when I'm on a beach, I love fiction that's all about like character development. I actually like stories that have massive family dysfunction in them. And not because I like dysfunction, because it's a reality. We are all dysfunctional. We all have a shit ton of epigenetics that are running through our bodies and running through our genes that form who we are. And I love seeing that we're normal, that this is everybody.
Absolutely. Where can we connect with you?
Yeah. So my name is like where you connect with me. Basically, if you literally Google me and you spell my name right, it's with two Y's, HayleyHobson, Hayley Hobson. If you Google me, my website is hayleyhobson.com. My Instagram is at Hayley Hobson. My Pinterest is Hayley Hobson. My Twitter is Hayley Hobson. My Clubhouse is Hayley Hobson. My Facebook is Hayley Hobson. Everything is like, you'll find all that for my name.
Amazing. Cool. Well, thank you so much for being here today and pouring into our audience. I really appreciate you.
Absolutely. It was fun being here.